Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, come one, come all, and witness something truly mediocre. Today we are going to go over another one of my personal favorite builds to play. This is a Berserk and Concentrate Barbarian. He is one of my best equipped characters because of how much I enjoy the build. Most people, they'll go, with Whirlwind, or they'll min-max everything, and that's just not what this one's about for me personally. So we're going to go down here. We're going to hit the inventory button and we're going to go over some gear. The obligatory area, it's not even a very good one. You don't need a good one. The defense, when you're doing PvE or PvM, whatever you want to call it, for the most part, doesn't matter that much. You're running around anyway. Most people don't, untoggle run when they're running, so when you're moving, you have zero defense. It shows you that, as you can see, it goes to the two little red bars. That means you have none. So, your defense isn't really all that much what matters here. More is obviously better, but it's not, the entire build doesn't hinge on your defense numbers. So we've got your Ariats for the obvious stats. It's the best Barbarian helmet in the game, hands down. There's not really much else that I can say about it that hasn't already been said a million times over the last 20 some odd years. It's a great helmet. I highly recommend any stats on it. Get it, use it, love it. It's the one to do. Yes, I am using a Grief. No, it's not an axe. I like the increased attack speed of the Phase Blade because I barely use Whirlwind. It's like if there's a bunch of enemies around, yeah, I'll use it. But for the most part, I use it pretty sparingly. I am mostly concentrated in Berserk, hence the build. A big nasty Fortitude in the highest defense armor you can put it in. It does have an absolutely massive strength requirement. You don't need to have one that has this high of a strength requirement. You can get armors that have, very close to this amount of defense that don't have the strength requirement. Fortitude, basically, of any role will work for this build. You do want Fortitude, though. This is not a budget build. It's not a min-max build, but it's not budget. You're going to be playing for a bit before you end up with all of this gear. That's just how it is. That's the game. So we've got a Fortitude, bunch of enhanced damage, good amount of defense. This one, the life and resistance rolls kind of didn't come out that great, unfortunately. That's the game. It's literally all just a roll of a die to tell you what your stats are going to be. The obligatory laying of hands, because this is, as I said, primarily a PvM, PvE build, depending on, how long you've been around, what you want to call it. It started out as PvM, and now everybody just calls it PvE, so I don't make the rules. The Great Gloves, the enhanced damage to demons is, you can't mess with it. We've got a couple of rare rings that I found in my travels. You want Leech. That's just how it is. You want Leech. So this is, 8% there. I got 4% there for 12% total. It's very nice to have Leech. You don't need as much mana Leech. Basically, just any will work. As long as you got other decent stats on the ring. You could even put a Manald heal in this slot if that's all you've got. Basically, just anything with mana leech. I'm running a Verdungos. It's not a very good one, but it works. It's more the stats than the min-max factor. It's a good belt. The damage reduction is fantastic. It's a bunch of vitality. Even at the lowest stats, it's what, 30 vitality and 10 damage reduction. That's a lot. I highly recommend Verdungos. If you don't have a Verdungos, you can go with a string of ears. You can upgrade it. It'll get more defense. It'll have a higher level requirement, strength requirement, but you can. And it's still pretty low. I want to say it's under 100 strength requirement, which for this build, that's nothing. You got that all day long. So moving on. Gore Riders, because Deadly Strike is fantastic for this build. I wish I could have more Crushing Blow. I could run with a Gillem's Face if I wanted that, and that would put me even closer to 100% chance on Deadly Strike as well, but it's not necessary. Again, not a min-max build. You're not going for absolute, 100% peak performance. You need a lot better gear that is a lot harder to get if you're going for that. That's just how it is, unfortunately. But, alright, so my shield. This is another one where you can go a couple of different routes. You can go with a Storm Shield with a Cam Rune in it if you have it, or Cham, whatever you call it. Or, if you have a Cham Rune in your Ariats already, which a lot of people will do. You can run with a Storm Shield. If your resistances aren't that great, you can put an Rune in it. There's a lot of different ways to run this build. This is just the way that I personally run it, that I've found works really well. So we're going to come down to charms. Yes, I have a torch. I've actually got 2 Barbarian torches, a Druid torch, an Amazon torch, and a 1010 Assassin torch. Torches are easy to get. They really are. Like, there's no way around it. If you play the game for, a couple of 100 hours, like, frankly, a lot of people do, a torch is pretty easy to get. They're easy to farm. They're easy to get the keys and then the organs. You can do it yourself if you have a decent character. You don't need to trade for them. You can get them yourself. It's not difficult once you understand the game pretty well. So we've got one of those for the obvious 3 to skills, the stats, and the resistances, because why wouldn't you? If you've got the open slot for it and you've got it, use it. I do have an Annihilus. It's not a very good one, is what it is. I traded Stone of Jordan for this when this was unidentified, and this was the role that it got. I used the same Annie across all of my characters because I only have the one. So it's just throw it in the stash, swap it over. You don't need to be loaded. They're pretty easy to get. You can... these days they're even easier to get, actually, because of the changes to the way that the clone spawns. But I got this one before those changes. So it's the only one I have. And I haven't, unfortunately, been able to play all that much lately. Just because I've been working 55 and 60 hours a week. So I haven't had the opportunity to go grab another one. We've got just a bunch of... Yes, these are good charms. This is, again, I gotta reiterate, this is not a budget build. It's not an ultra build. It's not min-maxed. But it's got some pretty solid gear because I play enough that I can get solid gear. I don't take things from other people. I don't do a lot of trading. I certainly don't use JSP, and I don't purchase things. To me, that's cheating. JSP, that's debatable. I know that officially in the terms of service, you're not supposed to use it. So that's just kind of where I fall on that. I try to make it so that way I'm not doing things that are going to get my account banned. Cheating, map hack, bots, that sort of thing. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You will lose your account. They just banned 100,000 people. Just don't do it. But charms. Mostly just max damage with, some secondary mods. These are all ones that I've found myself. You can find them too. You just gotta kill a bunch of stuff. I said in another one of my videos, persistence is king in this game. You can get all of this yourself. You just gotta play long enough. So I've got these. They're good. They're not perfect. Not even close. But they're really good. That I could improve on. These are, you know, what I got? 1, 2, 3 plus twos, and the rest are plus threes. And that I've got other ones on other characters' stashes. That this is just the one that's on here currently. We'll go into our skill tree. We'll start with masteries. I'm a sword barbarian. It's what I prefer. Sword and board till the day that I die. But you might choose something else, and that's completely fine also. I chose this. Like I said, you know, Grief Phase Blade. I rolled this one myself. The damage turned out kind of crap, but it rolled with perfect increased attack speed, which I can live with that. I don't need that, you know, extra few points of damage as long as I can swing really, really fast. It's a balancing act. And that's the end of it that I chose to go with. So you max out your mastery, you put one into each of these, increase stamina, increase speed, iron skin, and natural resistances. You don't need to put more than 1 point into those, period. You don't. These, you could argue you don't need to put any points into. I do, because I don't like running out of stamina. It doesn't really end up being that big a deal later on in the game, but earlier in the game, it's worth having. Especially considering the increased speed. That's a plus 33 to run walk. And that's before I've even cast my war cries. I think it's 34 or 35 afterward. But natural resistance. This is pretty much one of the Barb's best abilities. 49 to all of your resistances with 1 skill point investment. And that's before war cries. So that's somewhere, you know, 50-ish. We've got our skill setup, which is kind of where I differ from a lot of people. Most people, they prefer Berserk, but to me, Berserk is, as it says, powerful but reckless. It will get you killed if you're not careful. And once you're over level 90, a death is expensive. It's time invested that you've lost. If you get your corpse back, it's a lot less, but sometimes that's just not possible. So, the goal is to die as little as you can. I think that's kind of self-explanatory, but some people seem to think it's okay to just die randomly. I don't like doing that. I like having a lot of life, a lot of durability. I don't like deaths. So, this is kind of optional. I respect, and I just kind of put a bunch of points into this also. Your main things are Concentrate and Berserk. Max those out. Put, you know, get your one into Whirlwind so you can have it. I use that as I need to get through this pack of critters ability. Because you can just, I play on PC, so you can just move your cursor past the pack and right click, and you go through the pack, doing damage, leeching, etc., etc. But Berserk is if, like, you're facing the Primevals, or the Ubers, or the Diablo clone, or something that's immune to physical. It works exceptionally well. But like I said, the biggest downside is it's reckless. You have 0 defense, even if you're standing still using it. Which is where this comes in. If you're just fighting regular, you know, packs that aren't really hard, then Concentrate works really well. You're still leeching life. You're still leeching mana. It gives you increased defense. I think my defense is somewhere around 25,000 when I'm using it. 20 to 25. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we'll get to that. And it has when you max out Berserk, it converts 20% of your physical damage into magic damage. So, you know, you're doing more damage because things have less magic resistance than they do have physical resistance. So I prefer this setup rather than, you know, maxing just one and then putting your points into a bunch of other stuff too. You could, but this is the way that I play. So you max that, you max that. You come over to your war cries, you put your point, 1 point, and then you max out this. Now, where I differ a little bit from some people, a lot of the time I'll come down, I'll put one into taunt, and then come down into battle cry. Because this is a percentage of their defense taken away, just stripped, gone. You don't have to think about it, you don't have to deal with it. It's 12 seconds where you can just smack the hell out of everything. I use it on lesser builds a lot more than I do this one, because I've got better attack rating on this, I've got better gear on this. So it's not as necessary, but it always helps. Every little bit helps. Again, currently on this build, I don't have it put in there because I don't really need it. But then you come down, and I respect, and I forgot to put one in here, but it is what it is. Typically, I would put one into battle command. Just one, because that gives you a castable +1 to all skills. It takes a half a second to cast to get 1 to all skills. Worth it. Any day of the week. Use it. I'm not currently, but that was just a mistake on my part. That pretty much covers the skills. Some people would put in, make a dual purpose character. They'd have find item. That's not what this is about for me. This is it's going to kill everything you put in front of it safely and pretty easily. You can use it to farm, but you have very low magic find. What am I at? I only have 25%. That's from this shield. And like I said, a lot of people, they're not going to be using this shield. I do. It's cheap. It's easy to get. You can get halfway decent defense on it. It's got a decent chance to block. This is probably one of my favorite shields in the game. You can put it in almost anything. And it's got a super low level requirement because it's just a shell rune. I think it's like level 31 or something, like 29 or 31, something like that. But now that we've covered all of that, let's jump back into OBS. We're going to minimize my ugly mug, move me back over a little bit, and get this all the way it's supposed to be. We're going to jump back in here, zoom back out, and we're going to show you how well this kills. Now, I am on only players 1 difficulty because this is my BattleNet character. You can't increase the difficulty unless you're in a game with other people. So I can't show you how it would fare on players 8. It'll survive, but it's not going to be fast. Barbarians are not, really fast kill speed. They're durable. They can do everything in the game, though. And that's why I enjoy them as much as I do. Before I forget, on my W swap, I've just got a +3 Warcry sword and a cheap spirit. I don't have another +3 Warcry sword yet. Once I do, it'll swap out for the spirit, just for that extra +1. These you can get at a vendor. Mala right here in Act 5, a lot of the time, well, not a lot of the time, but sometimes you'll see that she has them. And you just buy them up for like 100 grand. Easy to get. So, like I was saying, you're gonna press W, cast your war cries, and you come out here and you can just kill everything. Yes, like I said, I do use Whirlwind occasionally, but it's not at all the most used skill. And then you just kind of mostly just one-shot everything. Again, hell, players 1. No difficulty at all. You can easily rip through this stuff. You can go kill Shank. I'll jump into... let's go to... We'll go fight Diablo and see about going and killing Bale after that. I haven't pre-examined this map yet, so if I can't find it pretty easily, then I probably won't go all the way for Bale. But, as you can see, there's Shank. Done. Easy. Alright, let's go to the River of Flame. And this, you have your leap. You can just jump right through it. Easy peasy. No enigma needed. No nothing. And then you just come in here and kill all this stuff. Swap over to Berserk for those. Click on a mana shrine accidentally. Oh yeah, forgot to go over my Merc's gear. Kind of expensive. Like I said before, not a cheap build. Andariel's Visage. A Fortitude. Same one that I put on my Amazon. I just pulled it off of her. I have 3 Fortitudes total. One I'm wearing. I've got a Kraken Shell. Can't hit him because he's stuck behind a wall. So yeah, I've got a Kraken Shell, a Sacred Armor, and... Damn it, I hate when they get stuck behind the wall. Kraken, Sacred, Dusk Shroud. Those are my 3 Fortitudes. I swap them around depending on what I have for strength on each build. It's nice to have multiple, honestly, because then you're not stuck always just swapping things back and forth on a single character. You know what I'm saying. What do we got? Nothing I'm keeping. Just keep on going. And Decrepify is why I like having an increased attack speed that's as high as it is. That's primarily why I was so happy with that my Grief popped to 40 IAS and not higher damage, lower IAS. Oh yeah. And a Pride. It's the only one I have. I was really lucky to find what I found. I found, I don't know, 6 or 7 low runes. I think 3 Cham runes. 3 or 4 Sur runes. Like, I've had pretty decent luck. But I also play the game a lot when I have time to. Soul rune. I always get excited when I see runes pop and then the immediate disappointment of, aw, follows. But yeah, this stuff, for the most part, even with just 1 point into Whirlwind, like, you can just cleave through everything. Like, I know that, I said my Boazon build with Strafe Multi-Shot and Guided is easy mode, but this really just takes the cake as far as, like, easy mode. You can just run through everything. Yes, there's faster builds. I'm not gonna argue that. There's always gonna be better. The intent for this is not the best you can do. This is, yes, it's high budget, but it's all very attainable. Just with some playtime and persistence. I should probably lower my mouse DPI at some point, because I keep misclicking like everything. But yeah, you just mostly just one-shot everything. Now, as I was saying though, just kill this stuff real quick. This works on bosses. Regular old ignores target's defense does not. So, even with 1 point into that, that's 50, and then you add on the 75 of their defense, or 25 rather, to get 75. So they only have a quarter of their defense by the time you cast that, which is very nice, because then you hit them real easy. Again, you don't really need it so much for this sort of stuff, but going up against, you know, clones, Ubers, it's nice to have. Apparently you can't just press the number when you're in that screen. But anyway, as you can see, this is all quite just very easy to, you roll through this stuff. You can solo the entire game with this build. Like, it gets easier when you have better gear, but you don't need the gear that I have. This is just the gear that I use because I have it. And if you have it, use it, right? This is the build that I used for farming Nilithak. Yes, I have an Enigma sitting in my stash. Battle bow, don't need that. There you dummy. Let's go. Alright, and then you just come, wait for him to show up. You can use either Concentrate or Berserk. We'll see what happens with Berserk. And he's dead. Easy. So we're gonna pop up a town portal and go heal up real quick. Because it's free and easy. And we'll see if we can go find Bale real quick. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. We'll see what happens. And as I've said before, all of my videos are one take, so I might die, I might not. Who knows? We're gonna find out together. Oh yeah. And this is what I like this build so much for. Because you can just walk through the World Stone Keep. Souls don't really phase you that much because you've got 75 80 lightning resist. Even better. So you don't take a whole lot of damage. You find something that's squishy and you can leech off them. Can't leech off of these guys because they're not squishy, but... And just make sure you got some potions because sometimes things still do hurt. I mean, that's the point of the game, right? It's not to just let you walk through. We've just gotten good enough and have a high enough understanding of the game that a lot of the time you can just walk through it. Hey, squishy stuff. Squishy stuff is always nice because you can leech off it. Where are you, Bale? Ooh, XP shrine. Always take one of those. Hopefully I don't get cursed. That's one thing that I despise. One mechanic I hate. Junk. Is if you get a shrine, it can be canceled by a curse. That sucks. I hate that. Another thing I don't like is when you click one place and it shoots you off somewhere completely other than where you've clicked. I mean, every game has issues, though. And if that's the most that I can complain about on this one, which realistically pretty much is, then it's a good game. One of my favorites of all time. It's easily top 3 games. The only reason I can't say it's my absolute favorite is because of one game called Final Fantasy VIII. It's one that I know is not at all like a fan favorite of the series, but it's my favorite Final Fantasy, and it puts it up there as far as favorite games. And like you can see, this stuff all just dies real easy. It's a little bit more, I don't know, effort than my bow Amazon, but it's also a lot easier to play. Like, you don't die anywhere near as much. So that means you're going to level faster. Kill all these critters. See about IDing this stuff. Junk. And I don't need it. Now, this part is a little trickier because we're coming into the council. And the council is notorious for eating people's mercenaries with Hydra. So hopefully they'll focus on me and not him. Nice. And just like that, council's dead. Now the rest of it's easy. Like, they're the hard part out of the entire run. And then you just pretty much, you know, 1 or 2 tapping everything. Give him that. Just drink the rest. Ta-da! And then they're all dead. Like I said, real easy. This is one of the easier builds to play this game through with. Just because it's so damn durable. Like, yes, you take damage, but it's not bad at all. Again, I wish I had a little higher crushing blow just for dealing with stuff like this, because it does help, but it's not at all necessary. Get back here. Yes, you miss a lot against, you know, the primevals when you don't have... Ooh, what do we got? Nothing good, huh? Damn. I don't know if it's ethereal. Alright, so I don't need any of that, but... let's, head back to town. And do some final thoughts. I don't know of anything in the game this guy can't just slap around. Even if I had keys right now, keys or organs, I'd go and show you that you can slap around the Ubers pretty easily. Yes, again, great gear, but not at all max. Not min-max build. This is, I don't know, mid-high tier for gear. It's not high tier. So, you can always do better than this. You can change things up if you want. It doesn't have to be this exact build. This is more just a showcase of what a Barbarian, when he's well-equipped and well-spec'd, can do. They're fantastic. They're one of my favorite characters. Second favorite, next to only the bow is on. And then after that is probably Drew at a close third, or distant third, rather. But you get what I'm saying. So, that's my Barbarian build that I play routinely, that I enjoy greatly. This video is already way too long, so we're going to wrap it up. And I'm going to say, if you liked what you saw, please hit like and subscribe. It helps me out immensely. I'm still not monetized yet. I need a bunch more subscribers. I need 1,000 total. I have, I think, as of making this video, 102. So I started on April. Today is June 18th. I started April 3rd. I had 10 subscribers. Most of my subscribers have come in the last week and a half. So it seems to be a bit of a snowball effect. So the more you hit like and subscribe, the more people I'll get overall. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.